Next, you must start listening more to yourself and not all the noise in your head that rolls around while you are trying to come up with what to say next. It's not about having to say anything. When you create silent space in your mind, you will be able to hear us. That's your spirit guides and your angels. Meanwhile, this is an ideal training to perfect your listening skills so you can hear the guidance your spirit guides and angels are always sending you. It teaches you to relax into the moment. That's when you become present. Your connection to your spirit guides is a byproduct of becoming a better listener. Because after all, when you do that, you are present. You take that time out. The pressure's off. That's one of the big curriculums that you have to learn to do, is release the pressure. I talk about that in the early part of Guided. When I released the pressure, there they all were. They all showed up all around me. There was no separation between me and them. It's created. We created. We build up all this pressure, and that's like a great big wall, okay, that we don't even realize we did. We don't know we're doing it because it's so automatic. What we have to learn to do, you guys, is sit back, relax yourself, roll your neck around, give yourself a break. And when you do that, you all of a sudden start to breathe. You start to breathe. You start to feel how you really feel. You start to feel how you've been treating yourself. It just all shows up. And that's when you just kick it down and actually become more productive when you do that. You know? So let's see who's with us tonight, right?
Well, so far we have Joy. Joy out in where, Wyoming still?
She may be traveling girl.
A long way. They have internet in Wyoming, right?
Yeah, I think they
parts of it. Veronica here.
Veronica.
And I think I saw Linda Schwartz join.
Oh, good. Yeah, good, Linda. Okay, so you guys, we look forward to your questions, and we did see some comments today that we always bring up in these sessions for this particular insight. That's a post on the Linda Deir website. You go to blog and you'll see these. See this insight right there, becoming a good listener. Okay.
So we have one question, but let's go to our comments first. We have some comments.
We're going to get to that question, okay?
Joy's question will be first.
Okay, great.
Okay, comments. We have a comment on Linda's Weekly Guided Insight from Nancy. Nancy's one of your followers from Sedona.
Yeah.
Nancy said, I really like what you have said about listening.
Yeah. Now, Nancy doesn't leave comments all the time, and when she does, she really is struck by it.
She's well thought out.
She really is.
I think she teach communications as a college professor?
Yeah. She has a PhD what university is it, right?
University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So she's a well-respected woman, and when she reads all these insights she gets from me, and she loves it, you know. Yeah.
I have a PhD. Did you know that?
What do you have it in?
In spelling.
He's the best speller.
I can spell any word.
I just have to go, Ray, how do you spell this word? And he's got it.
Okay. And then Veronica left a comment. Veronica said, to me, this is a great insight in that it gives a logical, practical tip for doing some things in the 3D world to help connect even more with the world of our guides. Listening. It makes so much sense to me that if we listen here to other people and then focus on silence, we will be able to hear our guides better and better.
Keep reading, Ray. I love that.
And then Linda responded and said, Veronica, you nailed it. That's the same thing applies to relationships. When you have a truly loving and supportive relationship in this world that is also
in this world.
Reciprocal, I think you meant here.
Yeah.
It says receptacle. You should have checked with the PhD.
See, I missed that one. You better
reciprocal.
Okay, put a little circle around that.
Right.
See, that's the one time I didn't.
That one.
Spell checker got me.
C-, just like I used to grade papers. Okay, if it's reciprocal, you will have achieved the quality it takes to have a relationship with your guides. But I must admit, the relationship you have with your guides will always be superior because you are listening more to them than you are to other people. You should be.
Well, here's what I really meant by saying it like that is, even though, read that last sentence again, right on the reply.
The relationship that you have with your guides will always be superior.
But the sentence before that.
Before that one?
Yeah.
That's a long one. The same thing applies to relationships. When you have a truly loving and supportive relationship in this world that is also reciprocal, you will have achieved the quality it takes to have a relationship with your guides.
Okay. That's like the litmus test. When you're actually able to have a relationship with somebody in this world where it's got to be meant to be. I mean, you can't make this happen if the other person's not all in. Then it's going to be wishy-washy, and it's not going to be really what you're looking for, and you know something's missing and all that. Okay, that kind of thing. But when you actually achieve that and you learn how to be in a quality relationship, when you learn how to be a best friend, okay, relationships, okay, when you learn how to be that in this world, even if the other person isn't able to do it, but you did it, okay, you pulled it off. When you've done that, when you've been able to achieve that, when you learned to listen, okay, when you learn to be present, doesn't matter what the other person's doing. That's their life. Even if you're in a relationship with them, it's still their life, okay? It's about how you learn to be a good listener, and you learn to be in a relationship without resistance, and you learn to be a best friend. You learn how to have a relationship with your guides. That was brilliant what you wrote, Veronica. That was my point in writing this whole thing, in this whole insight. That was the whole point to this insight. That was what they were leaning you toward, okay? That's the whole point to it. So I've mentioned this so many times in so many different ways where I've written different blog posts and stuff like that, and talking points about this world prepares you for having that relationship. Let me make a point about that. When you come into this world brand new, okay, you know how to be a best friend. You know how to have a relationship. You just came from having the best relationship and the best friends you could ever have from the before life, before you got here, okay? Now that you're here, now you're just fresh and wide-eyed, and you're just expecting everything to be just a continuation of where you just came from. That's really what you're expecting. So when you get here and you get this reality shock, let's say, from this world, it's like, what? And you spend your whole life looking for that best friend. You spend your whole life looking for that perfect relationship, okay? That loving, supportive, outstanding relationship. There's nothing that beats it, okay? Why do you keep doing that? It's because you remember. You never forget. It's a longing that never leaves you. That's why you do that. So your job in this life is to remember this, bring it all together, and be a best friend to yourself, and have the best relationship with yourself. When you do that, you're not chasing a relationship. You don't need a best friend. You got one, okay? And when you have this, the connection to your guides is a byproduct of all that, all right? It just goes together. You're not separate anymore. You are one. It's cool. it's the whole point, and that's why I wanted to just give you tons of kudos on what you said, Veronica, because you did nail it. All right.
Okay. We have some new people. Kathy joined us. Marlon joined us. Hi, Marlon. Welcome.
Welcome.
First question, Joy.
Go.
Is there something special I need to do in order to be a better listener?
And Joy, we're going to let your guides talk to you about that. And you know why, Joy. No one knows you better than them, huh? Okay. Is there something
That she can do
to become a better listener?
Right.
And this is specific to you, Joy,
Right.
okay? And,
well, or anybody else who resonates with
well, yeah, that's right. But this is her guides talking to her
Right.
directly. Okay, and here they go, Joy.
Joy, pay attention to your breathing when you are listening. People who are not good listeners are always breathing in a shallow manner while they're listening. They're getting ready to jump back into the conversation as fast as possible. We want you to take deep breaths when you are listening, because you can't talk when you're inhaling.
You can't talk when you're inhaling. So what they're asking you to do is to not talk. They're asking you to do the part that where they talked about in this session about opting out of talking. Just give yourself a break. Enjoy the conversation. Learn something. Just relax, Joy. Just pull back. You're off. You're off, okay? It's your time out. You get to take a break. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, if you're sitting there leaning forward, waiting for next time you can jump into the conversation. Leaning in.
Yeah.
Head forward.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for your chance. A bunch of people are talking, you're all talking and talking, you're waiting for your chance to jump right in and overshadow everybody. But if you're sitting back, leaning back, taking deep breaths, you're relaxed. You certainly can't talk when you're breathing, taking deep breaths.
Right. And nobody has to notice it. You just let yourself relax. Chill. Give yourself a break. Think of it like that. You're not on the spot. The light is not on you, like you're being interrogated. You're doing it to yourself, okay? So give yourself a break and sit back and just, let yourself just enjoy, all the talking that's going on and everything, and just let yourself relax and be present and breathe and breathe. Just breathe.
Okay, we got more people joining us here. Linda Schwartz has a question. I'll get to you, Linda, in just a second. Hannah Marie. Hi, Hannah Marie.
Hi, Hannah Marie.
Hi there. She says, Joy said, wow, that's amazing. Hannah Marie said, that's quite funny. Be quiet. We talk too much anyhow. Hannah Marie said, no, I agree. Learn something and just listen. No, you can't learn anything when you're talking.
That's true.
That's why you can't talk in class. Right? They tell you, keep quiet in class.
That's right.
Well, the teacher's talking.
That's right, Ray.
Okay. Somebody else new here? I saw somebody else new. Yep. Somebody else named Joy. Another Joy. Okay, anyhow, Linda, your question is the one you emailed to us about the relationships. You asked earlier about the relationship because thing is not so easy. What we're going to do is we're going to do a special insight, Linda's Weekly Guided Insight, on your question.
Yeah.
So we're not going to answer it tonight.
Yeah, but we're going to answer her question. What does she have here?
Same question.
Okay, same question. Yes, we can answer that because, Ray, this thing about listening and Veronica's point and bringing it up in in the comment.
Oh yeah, and she mentioned relationships.
Right, so it really does fit. In other words, the whole point to listening, the better listener that you become, the better you are at being in a relationship. Okay?
Right.
And it's not like you just let the person that you're in the relationship with do all the talking and you're just this little mouse over here, this little doormat. No way. That is not the case. But, my approach to it is, and I'll just share this with you guys, is I would always let the person pursuing me or wanting to know something, I usually just let them do the talking. The more I let them do the talking, the better we're going to have, the better relationship we're going to have, because they know that I did listen. That's the whole point. This thing about listening allows for a relationship to even exist. It allows for a friendship to begin, all right? So it's a good thing to sit back. It also lets you check in now that you're relaxed and you're breathing and you're present, okay? It lets you hear the guidance coming through. You're not jacked up, okay? So it's really, really good to do. Let them do the talking. Let them carry the load. Let them reveal themselves to you. It'll give you more information to pull from to decide just how much of a relationship, friendship you want with that person, okay? All right? That's what I did with him, by the way.
I stand corrected.
When we met, that's what I did. Ray did all the talking.
Right.
And I said, okay.
I thought she couldn't hear. I thought maybe she was deaf.
He did think that. And I let him do all the talking. And then I said, okay, I said, here's my website. Go check it out and send me an email. And I just was I'm watching how he's going to perform or do what he's going to do or what his natural response is. And I'm evaluating the situation. You are in control when you're the listener.
Apparently.
Okay.
So you gave me your website. Was that before or after I proposed?
That was
right after. Here's my card. Get out of here.
Okay, so
so we're back to the question, the relationship question, and we'll tie it together with Veronica and Linda's question. Okay. All right, and then we have an interesting fun fact from Kathy coming.
Okay, right? So again, what was the question? So we've got.
It was about relationships, and the relationship thing is not so easy. Please suggest to us how it can happen. If it were there would be fewer divorces. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, people are just not conscious. Okay, let's let the guides answer that, Linda, and here they go.
Most people in relationships are poor listeners. Rather than being interested in what the other person has to say, you are most of the time thinking about what you're going to say next. This, coupled with the need to be right, destroys any type of communication in a relationship.
And a relationship is all about communication. And here we are talking about listening. All right. So listening is one part of the communication. It does keeps you centered. It keeps you from being invested, okay, in what all this talk is, all right, or whatever. You just let yourself that's interesting. You stay present. You don't get sucked in, all right? If you guys do this, I talked about this in Guided, where there was a time in my life where I took about, I don't know, my memory, it was probably 2 months or more, where I stopped talking and I just listened. It was really strange. In the beginning, people go, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Nothing's wrong with me. I'm just enjoying the conversation, and I'm just relaxing." And then they left me alone. They went on about their, talking and doing what they do. And you guys, I learned so much. And the connection to my guides was even better than before. I didn't even expect that. But in a dream, I was shown to take this challenge on. And it really cleared everything up. There's so much that you're going to benefit from doing it. When you meet somebody, you meet somebody for the first time, the way you approach it will be totally different. Whether it's a friendship, a possible relationship, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to respect you. They're going to sit back and go, "Well, this person doesn't seem to be chasing anything. This person seems to be confident in themselves. This person seems to be the kind of person that I'd like to be around and I'd like to be like." Okay? That's compliment. You just don't see it too often. You guys are going to become the rare ones when you take on this challenge. You're going to feel calmer also. So what were the other questions they had?
Well, we have Anna Marie joined us. Hi, Anna Marie.
Hi, Anna Marie.
Or Anna Mae, excuse me.
Anna Mae. Right.
Anna Mae had a big deal just happened. Her son got signed to a professional hockey team in Washington. They're in Canada. He's going to go play for the Washington D.C. team.
That's the way to go. Her kid, yes.
Yeah, he's like 7 foot tall. Anyway, that's wonderful.
That is great.
Hockey, that's a tough sport.
That is.
You know the hardest thing about hockey? Playing hockey?
The ice. He's going to
say ice. Yeah,
okay, so what do we have?
All right. Okay, this is funny. Where was it? Joy. Joy says, I don't know where to go. And technical difficulties here. It was from Kathy. Kathy said, this morning when she got up and did her daily meditation, okay? Mm-hmm. Here was, fun fact. In my meditation this morning, I asked to become a better listener. And then after meditation, she read the insight today.
Get out of here,
and
Kathy.
It was about becoming a better listener.
I love that, Kathy.
I know, isn't that something?
Talk
about tuned in on the same wavelength.
Oh, man. Okay, that's just the best.
It's wonderful.
Oh, that's just the best.
That's synchronicity.
Now, I hope you're writing those kind of things into your journal, Kathy. That is so on.
Yeah, Hannah Marie says, the only way you can get an understanding of the person who's in front of you is to listen. You certainly learn so much more. You don't just learn a lot more about them, but while you're doing this is what's so cool about this, is while you're practicing this, you guys, on a day-to-day basis, what you learn about yourself, and you write it into part 3, the journal writing, about what you did and what you learned. You need to do that, okay? When I was going through that process, that's what I did. I wrote it all down. I was like, okay, this is getting really interesting, what I'm noticing, what I'm realizing, all right? Write it all down. This is a new you that you're going to be working with as you work through this listening and relaxing and breathing. You're going to like it. You're going to learn how to communicate differently from doing this. Okay, Hannah had a good observation. That's why people are uneducated in certain areas and certain subjects. They just don't listen. They just talk and talk and talk. They don't take time to hear what others need to say. Well, they hear it, but there's a difference between hearing and listening. You can hear the radio playing on the other side of the room, but you may not be listening to it. It may just be going on in the background. You walk into a store, and there's music in the background, and all of a sudden you notice it. You heard it as soon as you came in. Listening makes you more conscious. Right. It makes you more present. That's what it does. Right. It also lets you relax. I keep saying that to you guys.
We're all trying to do too much at one time and overthinking everything. You know, just let it go. It doesn't mean you won't be thinking. It just means you won't be racing around. It just means you'll be more present, okay? When you're present, you connect with all kinds of intelligence, you guys. I said intelligence. Yeah.
Okay. Anna Mae says, what does she need to do to become a better listener? Because sometimes her messages that she gets aren't clear.
Okay, that's good. That's a good question. And we're going to let your guides talk to you about what that is for you, Anna Mae, all right? This goes past breathing.
Yeah, past breathing. Anna Mae, it's great that you are hearing our messages. It takes time and patience to get to the clarity part many times. It's a situation where people's minds are racing, thinking about other things while expecting an answer. Also, when you're distracted, the messages will be a little out of tune, like a radio that the station isn't tuned in perfectly.
Yeah. So it's just, you're moving too fast. There's a lot going on. So you've got, when that's the case, Anna Mae, and you can't just, treat yourself to shifting into what I'm talking about, start with 15 minutes a day. Just start with that. Begin there. And if that 15 minutes a day is at the dinner table with the entire family and everybody's chattering and talking, let that be your 15 minutes. You know what's interesting is when you do the listening, most people won't even notice that you're not doing the talking because they're so busy doing the talking.
They're so surprised that they're talking and talking and talking.
No, they won't even notice that you changed.
Right.
Because they're so busy doing what you used to do. You'll catch yourself, you'll watch it in action, and you'll go, oh my God, that was me. I was doing this. 15 minutes in a primary time when you're really against the wall with, feeling like you're going to pounce into the conversation. Do it then. Take that 15 minutes and do it then, because that's how you're going to begin to get a taste of what this is and what it offers you, all right?
I think with Anna Mae, she's talking about getting messages from her guides, and maybe they're not clear, maybe she's not listening. I think that's where the writing it down becomes even more important.
It does.
If something comes through, if you get guidance coming through and you're not clear what it is,
yeah,
write it down anyhow. Write it down as you heard it.
Right.
Because you can always ask again on another day and see if you get a similar answer.
Well, see, here's what's going to happen, and Ray is right about that. And when you practice this listening thing, you're going to not hear the words the same way that you just heard him say it. It won't be like, oh yeah, I should have done that, and yeah, I keep forgetting it, and I do it sometimes, but you won't be doing that anymore. When you start really listening, you put yourself up against the wall for that 15 minutes, and you take that break, and you just let them do the talking, and then you watch yourself. You'll watch them and go, oh, that used to be me. I used to do that. But you won't say anything to them. This is an inside job, you guys. And you catch yourself doing that enough times, what Ray just suggested you do, writing it down, you will run into the bedroom to write it down. You won't think about Ray saying, you should have wrote it down, that type of thing, at all. You'll be so anxious to write it down because now you're getting the epiphanies, the realizations. You're finally nailing it, okay? When you do that, that's when your guides can reach you. You're going to love this. Everything becomes easier. You're the one that made it hard.
It becomes easier if you write it down. I mean, I write down just about everything.
I know, but that comes next. Until you get the flavor, the juices of listening, until you really get a connection to this, you won't jump right in and do that. The way Ray's talking about it, it sounds like work, like the teacher's telling you got to do it, and you don't want to, yeah, I'll get around to it. But this, when you connect with this, you won't want to lose this. Then you'll be inclined to write it down without anybody telling you to do it. All right? There's a big difference between being told to do it and wanting to do it. All right?
Yeah. See, I write everything down because I want to do it. I'm on the internet all day long.
Yeah, you are.
Doing research, doing the marketing.
Yep.
I see things. Well, that's a good idea, and I write it down. Because if I didn't, at the end of the day, I have all these great ideas that I stumbled across, which were guidance.
I know.
For the future.
I know.
And I have boxes full of. But
see, Ray's already past the point where what I'm talking about, where he's already grasped that. Okay, you guys are going to grasp writing it down. You're going to want to do it all the time. But until you really see it for yourself, experience it for yourself, becoming a good listener will definitely light that up. It's powerful, you guys.
Yeah, Hannah says people tend to talk over you, and they're interested in what they have to say. Everyone should get the chance to speak and be heard. Are there any messages for me, please?
That is sweet. And that is true, Hannah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
And if they don't, the people that do this, I will say this. I've actually tested it, where I let them talk and talk and talk. And you know what, you guys, sometimes they need to talk. They just need you to listen. They just need a good listener. And I know if you're going to be a friend, if you're going to have a relationship, you've got to be able to let that person do that sometimes, right? But then the whole world is now so needy, right? That's why that happens.
Plus, people are more opinionated than they ever were before, and separated.
Polarized.
Polarized. That's a big word I was looking for.
Yeah, it's polarized. So you're going to see more of that coming out. If we just are a better example, and we're going to let your guides talk to you. Is it Anna or Hannah?
Hannah.
Hannah. We're going to let your guides talk to you about your situation. And the question is, again, what, Ray?
Just comment. People tend to talk over you, and they're interested in what they have, what they want to say.
Right.
Everybody should get a chance to speak and be heard.
Right.
Do you have any messages for her?
Okay, and they're going to talk to you about your part in this and how you can accentuate what's available to you.
Hannah, make a list of all the things that irritate you when talking to another person or group. Keep the list where you can find it when you need it. The next time you're in a conversation with someone or multiple people, be aware of what irritates you. Now, look at yourself and see if you are doing any of the things you find irritating.
These are some of the things you guys are going to see when you let yourself play in this sandbox of listening. You're going to see things. You're not always going to see something that you like that is reflecting back at you. Okay, you're going to go, okay, I got that one. I'm going to write that one down for sure because I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to make a fool of myself anymore, and I don't want to do that to myself anymore.
I think the biggest thing with me was I used to always think about what was I going to say next? And I really didn't hear what they were talking about.
That's a huge one. That's the common denominator. That is what most people do, Ray.
Yeah.
It's true.
Always,
And I caught myself doing that too. When I stopped long enough to take this journey that my guides pointed out to me, this happened in the 80s. And they pointed that out to me. I never forgot it. It was massively important for my growth as a spiritual person, as a human being, okay, in both worlds, you guys, okay?
Okay, you will indulge me. We have about half a dozen people on there. I have a question for the group.
Okay, good, Ray.
All right. All right, everybody. I have a question for you, and I want you to write your answers in the feed. And as soon as I ask the question, just write the answer in the feed, okay? It's going to be an easy question. Are you ready?
I don't even know what this is.
All right.
What is this?
How many of each animal did God tell Moses to bring with him on the ark? How many? Looking for those answers.
I think this is going to be tricky, you guys.
Let me see those answers. How many animals did God tell Moses to bring with him on the ark? Of each kind. How many of each kind?
Here they come.
Here comes. Linda says 2.
That's right. I would have said that,
Okay,
Linda.
come on. Anybody else? That's the wrong answer, by the way, Linda.
Oh.
How many? Anybody else got an
How
answer?
come he knows?
Oh, Veronica.
What did she say?
She said Moses didn't have an ark. It was Noah. See? She was what?
Listening.
She was listening.
And I wasn't listening. Linda, you and I weren't listening.
The Lindas are bad
That
listeners.
is good. Well, I wasn't brought up with religion. That's my defense, Ray.
Yeah. See, that's actually an old question from the Xerox Professional Listeners course from the 80s.
Okay.
How many of each animal did Moses bring with
They
him
were
on the
just
ark?
trying to see if
And everybody always says 2. No, Moses didn't have an ark.
Okay. So, Ray, do we have any more questions there?
No.
Yes, we do. I see them coming in.
Hi.
Your questions are the most important part of these sessions. You guys, always be very generous with your questions because that's why we're here. That's why we're here, okay? That's why we do these insights, to help you guys. It's all about making that connection to your guides, having no more resistance in your life. That's really what it comes down to. And cooling down and being present and breathing, you know, you start to remember who you are. You start to give yourself a break. And that's when your guides can reach you. That's what this is all about.
I have a question. Well, this is all about becoming, but how do you know when you're a good listener? How do you know when you're a better listener? What are some of the things that you would notice yourself?
Well, in my case,
Yeah.
like what, who said that about when they started listening, they started realizing, you said it, that you were, you were
Always thinking about
right.
what to say
Always
next.
trying to outthink the situation.
Right.
Always trying to be
Right.
trying to be right, or trying to have the answers. A lot of this, I will give people who feel obligated to have the answer, have the pressure on them all the time. They're the head of the family. They're the breadwinner. They always have to know what to do. The family relies on them for all that. Okay, so they always have to have the answer. So they never get that chance to go, take a break, breathe. Okay, listen. Because everyone's bombarding them with, what do I do now? How do I do this? What? Can you fix this for me? How do I do this? And what should I do? And they're always coming to you. How do you get yourself off the hot seat? Become a listener. And when they come to you, just go, I don't know. You tell me what that is. I'm ready for you to tell me what you would do. Just let yourself off the hook. All right? You don't have to have all the answers, you guys. Ask the questions. How many times when they ask you a question, when they need the answer and they need you to tell them, and you don't have time to be a listener, and you give them the answer and they don't follow it. They don't follow your advice. So you may as well just sit back, be a good listener, breathe, take yourself off the hook, and let them bump into the answer. That's what they'll do, because that's really, the answer's always in here. They can't go out there looking for an answer. You don't have their answer.
Yeah, sometimes when people don't have an answer, they just tell you the first thing that pops into their mind.
Yeah, it's not really thought out.
It's not well thought out. Okay, Kathy says, an observation, if you're connected, you really don't have to be thinking about what you're going to say next. You just need to listen, and your guides will tell you what to say next.
You know what?
That's
it comes
good.
through you. It comes through you, and out comes this amazing brilliance. All right? Your guides are right there with you. You don't have to panic.
Hannah says her friends tell her she's a good listener. She's just beginning a course on how to become a hypnotherapist and a counselor. That's good, because that's an important skill. She loves helping people and hearing people's stories. I need a lot of practice so she can become good at what she's going to do.
There you go.
That's great.
That is a great observation.
And Kathy says, Veronica. Veronica has another question. What's the best thing for me to know right now about listening?
That's good, Veronica. We all need to know, you know?
Right.
Okay. And here they go, Veronica.
We would say practice listening twice as much as talking.
You know what I just felt for you, Veronica? I felt a whole lot of breathing going on, all right? Maybe some, I feel a ton of breathing. I don't know. Something's going to happen for you where you just rise up with this, okay?
It's deep breathing. I felt it too.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole thing about people breathing shallow, too shallow, and not listening, getting ready to jump out there. When you're breathing deeply, you can relax, number one, and you breathe in life more.
And you have way better answers when you do speak
That's
out.
right. Okay.
You become a reliable source of information and guidance when you take that time.
Probably, if you stay quiet, like you say, and just listen and don't try to overwhelm the conversation, you'll find people coming to you more often, I think, because you did that.
Absolutely.
And asking for your advice or whatever.
That's right. That's absolutely right. What a powerful session this was.
It was.
All right, Ray. So we're going to we're going to close the session with the Spirit Guides and Angels closing message about becoming a good listener. But before we do that, we want to talk about tomorrow and next Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, July 3rd at 6 p.m. Pacific. Join me right here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir, author. This will be about when the struggle stops. Bring your questions and find out how to stop the struggle so you can start living the life you intended before you came here. Using my guided journey of the guided journal writing system, your spirit guides and I will be helping you with this. They will be able to answer your questions just like they did tonight about becoming a good listener. And this really does tie into what we did tonight in the sense that when you become a good listener, you guys, the struggle does stop. You're not struggling anymore. You're not struggling to have an answer. You're not struggling to say the right thing. You're not struggling for a solution. You're not struggling to be right. You're not struggling to be noticed. You're not struggling. Okay, you're relaxing. You're kicking back. You're breathing. You're present, and you're showing respect to the talkers. They need to be heard too. And some of them may be a little bit out there, You can look at them and go, well, that was me about 2 weeks ago. I used to do that. You'll see it. All right. And that's the whole point in becoming a good listener. You get real straight with yourself. You see it all. Okay. So that's going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, right here. Join us. Bring those questions, okay? We're going to break through this, and we're going to use the guidance workbook.
I like that.
Also, if you guys have any questions or any challenges in part 2 of my guided journey, where you're taking the journey, chapter 1 through 18, bring it on, okay? I will always address those in these sessions. So whatever chapter you need that help with, I'm here for you. Bring them. I want those questions. I want you guys to work through the chapter 2, taking the journey. Because you guys, I have to say this, until you bring yourself back, the person who came here originally, until you restore that spirit, that soul, that intentional person who was excited to be here before all the things in this world bombarded you and dominated you, pushing down and pushing away your real self. That's what happened. We're bringing that back when we work through the part 2, chapter 1 through 18 of My Guided Journey. We're bringing that back, and then we bring it all together. Now you've got yourself, you are prepared for everything, all right? And you will live the life you intended before you came here when you put yourself back together again. All right. Next Tuesday, July 9th, join me right here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir Author. This will be a Q&A and commentary with me and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific, so don't miss that. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, my spirit guides will be talking about becoming obsolete. When something is obsolete, it is either no longer used or produced in the marketplace or entirely out of date. How obsolete have you become? What will you do when you are affected by it? And why should you be focused on preparing for all this change now? The one thing that is becoming obsolete the quickest in your life is your worn out thinking, the thinking you've relied on for decades. Nobody wants to be considered obsolete. By starting now, you can plan for this near future obsolescence that's going to affect millions. Obsolescence is your gift, because now you get to do something that reflects who you really are. Okay. You know, until something goes obsolete, do we find another way to do something? Okay. So we're all becoming obsolete, the old thinking, the old ways of doing things, okay? And that's what they're talking about here is, and that's your gift. That's not your curse. That's not there to work against you, and you should never fear it. The way I feel about it is, thank God we're finally getting over that hump of that drudgery, of that slavery, okay? Of that, all the have-to-dos, should-dos, all that old thinking, that grind, that nobody liked, all right? It repressed us all. That's going to be obsolete. Great. So now what do? You're being put on notice. You're going to become obsolete in the way you thought, in the way you went about doing things, in what used to be important in your life. What are you going to do? You're going to do what you originally came here to do. You're going to get back to why you came here. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to get to do. You don't have to do it anymore. It's not something you should do. It's something you finally get to do. In fact, because you're going to be obsolete, you can't do that anymore, even if you feel insecure, like, oh, but I need the money, and oh, if you feel that, it won't work. So just move past it. Start making your list. What is it that you are good at, and what is it that you love to do? And when you have all those things on your list, match up the ones that are you love, that you are good at, that you love to do, and tie them together, and then look at what they are, and go, oh, well then that's what I'm going to pursue. I'm going that way, even if it seems like it's way out in the future. Like, oh my God, this could possibly be what they're talking about. It is what they're talking about. It's precisely what they're talking about. The guides, when they tell you that the old you is going to become obsolete in the near future. It's already happening. Hallelujah. I'm glad it's over.
We have one last question that kind of snuck in under the wire.
We do. Go ahead.
It's from Denise Borlini. It took so long to get here because she's in New Zealand. I guess it took a long time to get over here on the wires.
That's right. Well, and plus it's late there, right, Ray?
I think it's morning there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think it's late where Hannah is.
We're going to sneak it in for you, Denise. Yeah.
Okay, since we're international here.
We got this
UK,
thing.
Australia,
That's
New Zealand.
Right. That's right.
Canada has been on tonight.
I love it, Ray.
Wyoming. That's another country.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
That would be joy.
Yeah, okay. So Denise has a good observation here. I'm going to turn it around. Sometimes people treat you like you have no say in things, and they really don't hear you or didn't put any effort into listening to you, okay? That's kind of, and she says, well, how do you stop in this situation when they're talking over you? How do you stop from being reactive, especially when you feel undermined by the other person?
We're going to let your guides talk to you about this, okay? I mean, your situation is unique. I get the feeling that this has to do with
relationships,
close family ties in some way. That's what I'm feeling. And we're going to let your guides talk to you. Denise, and here they go.
Denise, this feeling of overwhelm is due to the other person not wanting to hear anything different than their opinion. It's easy to feel undermined, like your position doesn't mean anything. The next time this happens to you, just keep silent until they are done talking. Then pause and take a deep breath and ask them, how do you want me to respond to you? And then, what would you like me to say? Make them tell you that, well, you should agree with me because I know better. This will let you know they have no interest in a two-way conversation, much less a two-way relationship. This is a situation where, in order to keep from being reactionary, you must just avoid them altogether.
They don't leave you anything to work with.
No.
So when you're in a situation like that, if you can't get out of it, okay, you definitely need to go onto overdrive with taking care of Denise.
Right.
You need to take your journal, Denise. I'm pretty sure you have this. Take your journal and start writing out what's going on in these situations in part 3, the journal writing. And start identifying what's going on. Do not write this from a victim's point of view. No. Write this factually. Just write this down like you watched it happen to somebody else. Write it down like that. Date it and keep it going, Denise, because you're in deep. Okay, when you're in deep on anything, you guys, you need to walk. You need to rewind yourself. You need to learn to not take it personally.
Right.
It's not yours, it's theirs. You need to document what's going on, slow down, and write it down. You need to keep a journal, this journal going within 1 month. If you do what I'm asking you to do, you will review what you wrote down over the last month. You will review it, and you will go, okay, now I'm seeing it. Now I got this thing. Okay, I finally see what it is. It's not right in my face. It's not in here. I can't see it when it's in here.
Right.
All I get in here is pain, more pain. I can't have any more pain. You take that pain and you put it on these pages. You put it here, okay? You take it out of here and you put it in here. And you keep putting it in here and putting it in here and putting it in here, okay? This is going to work for you. And it's the only thing that's going to work.
It'll keep you from being reactionary because...
Well, it's not working. It's right. Totally not working. All it's doing is that you're at the point of total frustration, okay?
But once you can see it in writing, you know, and this keeps going on with this person or people, multiple people, once you keep writing it in here, and then you go back and ask yourself the questions. How does that make me feel?
That's exactly right.
Once you see you're writing down the same thing, a lot of times you're writing down the same thing that sets you off.
Yeah.
It makes you angry.
Because, see, in part 3, what Ray's talking about, in part 3, when you write it down, it asks you to write down what it is. And then it asks you to write down how it felt, okay? I'm not talking about emotional. I'm talking about how it felt, okay? This felt like this. Okay, I'm not going to take it on and let it eat my soul up, but this is how it felt.
Yeah, it felt like I had no value. It felt like they didn't consider me as a person.
Right. It's an analysis of what happened. All right. Mm-hmm. And because if you get pulled into the emotion, you won't see it. And then you write down underneath that one. You write down from writing down what you felt, what you realized from what you felt. You're going to instantly know. And then what action you're going to take. Because, Denise, you will take an action. That's not right, what's going on. That's not going to hold up. You're not, there's no way you can hold up underneath it. And that's the good news. That's the obsolete Denise we're talking about. That's over. And you know what? They're over too. Whoever's doing this, pulling this on you. And they just don't know it yet. It's, you know, show up for next week about becoming obsolete because it's really positive, you guys. It's like, oh my God, thank God it's finally happening. I'm done. Time. Right. I'm done with this old world. Done. Okay. And then you get yourself back and you're back in the game. Full on. All right. Okay, you guys.
Closing message.
Closing message from the guides about becoming a good listener. You guys are already getting that. And here they go.
Okay, you want to be a better listener. There's 3 things to consider.
Write it down, you guys.
When? What time of day are you the best listener? Is it early in the morning when things are quiet? Before you go to bed, when you can get away from other people and find some quiet, and stick to that time to ask us your most pressing questions. Next, what are you listening for? Are you listening for a definitive answer? Are you listening for sympathy for your plight? Be clear about what you are listening for. Be open to what you hear that may not be convenient in your life. Lastly, realize that listening is a critical component of your spiritual growth.
I learned that and I did that for a couple months, and I just listened all the time. It's a great thing, you guys. If I talk about a loving thing you can do for yourself, self-care is huge when you just let yourself become a listener. All right? What you did, Kathy, where you got the message about becoming a better listener, about listening, before you read the insight today, that's a perfect example of what you gain, you guys, when you perfect this, when you calm down, let up on yourself, quit doing what the rest of the world is doing. It's obsolete. Okay?
Okay.
We love you guys. Well, come tomorrow night. Bring your questions about the struggle, about, what is it, Ray? Do you remember what it's called?
The struggle?
It's called When the Struggle Stops. Bring your questions about that, and we're going to get in there just like we got in there tonight. We're going to get that thing, okay? And then next Tuesday.
Becoming obsolete.
I love it. I love it. These guys are smart. They are right on the game, and they know exactly, timing-wise, in our evolution, why these things are important. Exactly when they bring them up. So you don't want to miss these, okay?
So that'll be a good one. And we realize some of you are probably going away for the holiday, for the 4th of July, but you'll be able
Squeeze it in. And
Yeah.
bring your questions about any chapter in part 2, chapter 1 through 18. I am here for you.
That's it.
Okay, you guys.
Okay, everybody.
Good night.
Keep your ears open and be kind.